If you've ever wondered how to create a better you, then watch this video because I'll say something in this video that I'm pretty sure you've never heard before. Now, if you're like all of us, you want a better life. You can go to the bookstore, go to Amazon, you will see a bazillion books on, even this TV pastor, doesn't matter what his name is. I think his book is called Your Best Life Now. The brain is hardwired to want to go to a higher emotional state. So when a baby in a crib, when the baby's crying because it wants to go to a higher emotional state. It wants to be held and loved, it wants to be fed, or it wants its diaper changed. So we are always wanting to go to a higher emotional state. And many of us think, okay, well, I've got to do XYZ. And many of us think, well, if I do XYZ, then guess what? I can be better, a better me, and I can create a better thing, all these better things in my life, and my life's going to be hunky dory great. Well, what I want to share with you, and I said in the introduction, you probably have never heard what I'm going to say before. And what I'm going to say, when I learned this, it dramatically shifted my life. Most people work completely backwards because they work from what I call the have, do, be paradigm. The have, do, be paradigm is if I have or I had more, then I could do blank. And if I could do blank, then I could be successful. The problem with that broken paradigm is that it doesn't work. Now, let me explain what I mean by that. So let's say that maybe you're saying, okay, I really want to do YouTube videos, but I think that, you know what, I need which you don't, I need a really good camera, and I need a really good microphone. I need A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. I can't afford it. So then the process you go through is, well, if I had A, B, C, D, and E, then I would do videos and I could be successful on YouTube. The problem is, if you never have it in the first place, then you're never going to do it and you're never going to be it, which means you're never going to literally have it in the first place. So in your own life, think about where you work from have to be. And candidly, I worked that way for many years. I operated that way many years. And mine was if I have or I had money, then I could hire a social media person. I could do this, I could do that, and etc. So if I have or had the money, then I could do the advertising and then I could be successful online. The problem, as I said earlier, if I never had the money, then I could never do it and I could never be it. I also said earlier, it's a broken strategy. So the correct strategy, and this will change your life. As a matter of fact, take it out and use it this week, today, tomorrow, in your own life, and you'll see that it will shift and change how you're showing up in life. The correct strategy and the strategy that works is the reverse. Not have, do, be, but be, do, have. Be, do, have is this. Who and how must I be so that I can do, so that I can finally have? Because our being affects our doing, and our doing affects our having. So we have to always look at what ways must we be. When you master the be do have formula, by the way, I own the trademark to this. And this is nothing new. I mean, this has been around for many, many years, especially in the US. You hear the first time I heard it was in the 1990s by Zig Ziglar, a motivational speaker. So I'm always looking at what ways must I be? Because I know everything starts with my ways of being. The life you have right now is a result of the ways that you have been being. Ask yourself, how have I been being? Have I been being worried, fearful, lonely, angry? See, these are all characteristics. And the ways that you be is all about characteristics. I once had a coach say that success really is a matter of characteristics, ways of being, because ways of being will determine what you do, and what you do will determine, the outcomes that you actually create. So let's look at this for a moment. Let's say that you want to start your own business. But again, fill in the blanks, use this example in your own life. Let's say you want to start your own business, but you're apprehensive, you're fearful, whatever it might be. Then how are you being? You are being afraid. Now, being afraid will actually affect what you do, which means you won't shoot video, you won't do this, you won't do that, you won't get, you won't do anything that's going to get you to the end result. So, because you're being fearful, that affects your doing, and your doing then affects your outcome, which is what you have. Being is the genesis of creation, meaning everything starts with being. So, what ways can people be? And being is all about your emotional state. You can be happy, you can be sad, you can be angry, you can be committed, you can be not committed, you could be self integral, you could be responsible, you could be irresponsible, you could be driven, you could be motivated, you could be not motivated. You get the point. But notice every one of these emotional states that I talk about, every one of these emotional states literally translates into an attitude, which translates into an action, which translates into an outcome. So let's say again that you want to, you want a business, an online business or a YouTube channel, whatever, but you're afraid to do it. Well, that way of being then translates into your attitude, which translates into your behavior, which translates into your outcome. So as you can see, most people have been working absolutely backwards. Most people have been working from have to be, and they're not getting what they want in life. We must start with being. So I want to give you a sentence that I teach my students that work with me personally. I want to give you one sentence. Write this sentence down. Ponder this. This is a very powerful, life-changing paradigm. And the sentence is this: who or how would I be, and what would I do if I already had blank? Who would I be? What would I do if I already had blank? So let's reverse engineer. Let's start backwards. So let's say that you want your own business. Okay. The first place you start with is who and how must I be? Remember, being is characteristics. And let's just make this really simple. I'll give you this as an example. Okay. So who and how would I be? I would be committed and driven. What would I do? Well, as a result of being committed and driven, I would do all the things that I need to do to build my business. And as a result of being and doing, now I can finally have, and I'm in the process of creating the outcome that I want. There's one sentence. One sentence is your roadmap. But the problem is this: most people still work backwards because they work from point A to point B, and that doesn't work. Because let's say you say, that's where I want to go. I'm at point A and I want to go to point B. So look at, who are you being at point A? At point A, you're being angry or fearful or unmotivated or whatever it might be. You can never get to point B from working from point A, because how and who you've been took you to point A. The ways that you have been being created your point A. So to get to point B, we don't get to point B from working from point A. We must work from point B. I'll say it this way: we don't work to point B, we work from point B. So again, what ways must you be at point B? So I always let me give you the best example that I use in my own personal life. I'm married. I've been in this marriage for 22 years now. And like all relationships, if anybody tells you relationships are not work, they're lying. Every relationship requires work, involvement, growth, love, commitment, compassion, and all kind of ways of being. But many years ago, this dawned on me when I had a rough patch in my relationship. I sat down and I said, okay, I want to be a catalyst and I want to be responsible in this relationship. What ways must I be to be the best partner that I can be to my partner? What ways must I be? And I said, I must be loving and committed and responsible. Now take a note of this. I said I must be loving and committed and responsible. Now, what I mean by this is I would use this as my roadmap. So if I found myself doing something, I would go back to my roadmap and say, was I being loving, committed, and responsible? And many times when the relationship might falter a little bit, I did find that no, I was not being loving. Maybe I was being conditionally loving, but I wasn't being committed to the relationship and I wasn't being responsible for my thoughts and my actions. Now, I don't mean that I was recklessly irresponsible, but I wasn't being responsible for being the best possible partner that I can be. So ask yourself this, okay, I want to create XYZ in life. For example, I want to create XYZ in life. What ways must I be to create that kind of life for me? Get really intimate with this, understand this, take some time with this. When you take this seriously and you look at the ways you must be, and then you start doing relative to the being, you'll start having what you want to have in life. Let me share a little thought with you. Even as you're listening to this, when I share this with people, most people will say, wow, I never thought about it in that way. When people start using it, especially people that I'm coaching in my higher end programs, people change their lives very quickly and very dramatically. Why? Because what you be and how you be determines what you do, and what you do determines what you have. So right now, as you're thinking about this, how are you being? Are you being angry about it? Are you being perhaps, a bit caustic about it? Are you being apprehensive about it? Are you being driven by it? How are you being right this second? Because how you're being will determine what you do with what I just gave you in this video. So if it were me and I could give you a little bit of feedback here and a little bit of direction, I would say I would be committed to taking this simple process, what I just gave you, the sentence earlier, and then looking at ways that it applies to your own life. I would be committed to integrating these ways into my life, because when I integrate these ways into my life, then I can create what I want to create in life. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe button. And if you'd like to work with me personally, I have a very low cost community and a private app. Go to jimfortin.com/insiders. jimfortin.com/insiders. This is my Be Do Have Insiders group. I'm in there often. Actually, I'm in there every week. And I do 2 live coaching sessions per week where I'm working with you individually, helping you go through this content, helping you integrate it into your life. Again, jimfortin.com/insiders. And basically, it's cheaper than a cup of Starbucks every couple of days. Okay, I'll see you over in the Insiders, or I will see you on another video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.